Okay, and we've just received the visuals of the Indian Prime Minister, who's already heading to Haifa. In fact, after receiving a rousing welcome by the Indian diaspora at the Tel Aviv Convention Center, now the Prime Minister on his way to visit Haifa to highlight India's role in the two world wars. And this visit, as we just told you in that story, assumes much significance. It means a lot to the Indian war heroes and their families as well. The Indian Prime Minister on his way right now to commemorate the contribution of our Indian soldiers. And there you see it, the Prime Minister sitting there all geared up to reach Haifa. He will be doing so in just a short time from now. He is going to be there to highlight the role of the sacrifice and, the courage of the Indian soldiers. Executive Editor Gaurav Sawant joins us for more on this. And Gaurav, this is a truly touching gesture by the Indian Prime Minister, to visit the cemetery, to commemorate, to salute the sacrifice of the Indian soldiers.
This indeed is, in fact, this generation, and several Israelis have commented about this, that this is the first time that they became aware of the role that was played by Indian soldiers in the liberation of Haifa from the Ottoman Turks. And this is exceptional because this battle, as several Indians also perhaps will learn for the first time, was one of the most, one of the battles where the bravery of our lancers, whether it was the Jodhpur Lancers or the Mysore Lancers, it came out in such a way that on horseback, only with lances and swords, they charged at the Ottoman Empire with machine guns and artillery and carried the day and liberated Haifa, the third largest, city now of Israel. So it is exceptional bravery 30 years later that led to the birth of Israel as a country. And this is where the two countries are taking their ties to another level and talking about how history played a very crucial role. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi going to Haifa is a big significance there.
Oh, absolutely. And, it also has so much importance for the family members of those Indian soldiers, isn't it, Gaurav?
For the Indian, for the families and also for the Indian Army.
And the Indian Army, yes, absolutely.
The 23rd of September, the Indian Army celebrates every year as Haifa Day to commemorate the dead in Haifa. This is World War I. And if you recall, the Teen Murti Bhavan, the Teen Murti Memorial, which was constructed in 1922, is actually all about the Battle of Haifa, and three soldiers there are the Jodhpur Lancers, the Hyderabad Lancers, and the Mysore Lancers, who carried the day, at Gaza Strip and actually Haifa. So this was Gaza Strip, Israel and Palestine during World War I. This was the British Indian Army, and they played a very crucial role in defeating the Ottoman Empire.
And this visit, Gaurav, sends out such a strong message, such a strong signal to the others, to, the terrorists, to all those who have been backing them, that the sacrifice, the courage, the valor of our Indian soldiers, of our forces, will never be forgotten, and their sacrifice will never go down in vain, no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. This victory, the Haifa victory, and the fact that Indians are learning about it or studying about it all over again. This happened in the First World War. The fact that Israelis are now reading up more about this. They commemorate the Haifa Day every year, and every Indian ambassador is there at the memorial on Haifa Day. This victory is exceptionally, special, as Indian soldiers during the First World War in this battle were on horseback and armed only with lances and swords. The Turks, on the other hand, had artillery and advanced machine guns and German support. And yet the Indian troops displayed exemplary skills, valor, and they carried the day. This was almost like the charge of the Light Brigade. They knew they were riding into a certain death, and yet they did not retreat. They went, and the valor was such that they carried the day.
Absolutely. And these soldiers, Gaurav, if you could just tell us a little bit more, just enlighten us, were from the three princely states. Is that not correct? And, it's just so important to know as to how for years together the Indian Army has been celebrating the importance of this day, Haifa Day, but just so much is not known or talked about. And the Prime Minister now just bringing back all those memories and also enlightening just so many of us.
Absolutely. So far it was confined to India's armored corps. Horses later became tanks, tank regiments. Horse regiments became tank regiments. So these were the Jodhpur Lancers, the Hyderabad Lancers, and the Mysore Lancers, who were all a part of the British Indian Army. They fought at the Gaza Strip, they fought in Israel, and they fought in Palestine during World War I as part of the British Indian Army. So what makes this extremely exceptional? Now, the official British war history, it talks about the valor of the Indian troops, of the Jodhpur Lancers and the Mysore Lancers and the Hyderabad Lancers, and it says that the enemy was superior in terms of weapons and training, in terms of the artillery that they had, the machine guns that they had, and relentlessly the Turks and the Germans were firing machine gun bullets over and over again, and yet they failed to stop the galloping horses, even though many of them succumbed to their injuries. And at the end of this, Avantika, 1,350 German soldiers and Ottoman soldiers were taken prisoners by these two Indian regiments. So over 1,300 prisoners of war who had weapons like artillery and machine guns versus swords and lances, and yet the Indians carried the day. Now, this included 2 German officers and 35 Ottoman officers and 17 artillery guns and 11 machine guns.
Right, Gaurav. That's some very interesting bit of news, and, the historical importance of this visit. We'll just have to take a very short break at this moment. Just stay on with us. We'll be back with lots more updates.